Well, I'd like to credit first Coach Taggart and Florida State. They played hard, and they played a full and complete game right to the very last play. And anyone that was in the stadium today witnessed an amazing football game with two teams trying as hard as they could try to win. And I felt lucky to be part of it. I'm really proud of my players and staff, the work they've put in, and to have another tangible takeaway that progress is being made, and then to have so many people come and support us was so gratifying to not only myself but my staff and the players. And I think they've worked really hard and have earned the chance to have that kind of support. And so it was gratifying to see it and to feel it and to recognize that it had an impact on the game. It helped us win. And that was, I'm appreciative of that, from the student section to the fans to the upper deck to the hill in the end zone. It was just like, man, what an amazing setting. And it felt like good football on a national stage, and worthy of that is what it felt like. I've already apologized to my team for my personal foul. It's my first ever. Yeah, I didn't set a very good example in that one case. Really pleased with Brice. The adjustments we made at halftime offensively, the way he played and led our team, the two-point conversion, our defensive heart and effort was magical. And I'm just, yeah, I won't forget this one ever. So I'll take whatever questions anyone has.
Jeff?
What changes did you make without giving away any secrets in the fourth quarter, particularly offensively?
It just became clearer finally what we were able to do, how we're going to need to do it, and in what time we needed to do it in. And those things just became crystal clear at halftime. And while it didn't manifest necessarily in the third quarter quite as much, the fourth quarter looked similar to our opening drive, and those two things had, those two drives and those two instances had some things in common that we found, well, we believe that was going to help us win the game, when it did.
Obviously, such a wild finish at the very end. What was your vantage point on them running the play with, I guess, 3 seconds when they snapped it? Did you expect them to clock it, and what did you see from you guys defensively?
I expected him to run the play, and our defensive staff did a really nice job they had no timeouts, so I expected him to run the play. They're an up-tempo team anyway. Our defensive staff did a nice job of getting the call in, and the player that had the ball for them is a phenomenal football player, and it was a wild and hard-fought and effort-filled and physical finish to a game that basically looked like that the whole time. And I wouldn't question at all what they did. That's a tempo team that was a normal play to a very good football player, and they thought they could win.
Some of the penalties leading up to that, and I mean, obviously your personal foul, we know what you thought about that call, but in general, all those flags, what was it like to sort of live and play through that?
Yeah, I don't know if I can describe what it was like to live and play through it, but it felt like we won the game about 3 different times, but then we didn't.
Doug?
Yeah, Wayne had 3 touchdown runs. Talk about him in the short yardage situations, particularly since he was not available last week.
Yeah, I love Wayne, his heart, his consistency, his trustworthiness, how physical he is, how mature he is, and the combination between he and Brice in the short yardage situations, they just wouldn't be stopped. And yeah, it wasn't pretty necessarily, but short yardage isn't really pretty football, but it was effective football. And so I really liked what I saw from Wayne, the team. There were plenty of guys that was hoping that he would be smashing the rock, but Brice Perkins was the one that I opted for. It could have been either one.
Dave and Ed.
Bronco, your longest rush tonight was 22 yards by Joe Reed on the first play of that winning drive. It looked different than anything I remember seeing. Was it indeed a new wrinkle, and what led you to choose that particular time?
Yeah, it was a great call by Robert and we needed a special play in that moment to get us out of that hole and to change field position as fast as possible, and he deserves all the credit. We had run that play once or twice before with Alameda Zacchaeus, and so we've kind of had it on the shelf, but been working on it, and the call that Robert made at that time to get the ball to Joe in that way, man, that made a huge difference.
Edmund, Ron.
Coach, it looked like Brice Hall had grabbed the jersey when Terry got by him and moved the ball from the 30 to the 15 on that final drive.
Was that the one where 3 officials threw flags? Or?
It looked like it.
Yeah.
And then down the sideline near where you guys were, and then he's in on the final stop, put that out of his memory pretty quickly. What does it kind of say about him as a player?
It's just how so defensive players, but corners in particular, have to have the shortest memories of maybe anyone in sport. And yeah, I'm glad they tried Brice again after getting 3 flags. The chance that that happens again or he doesn't make the next play, not so good for the opponent. So fitting that it went to his side again and he had an influence on winning the game.
Ron and Jerry.
You guys drive down and score what looked like the game-tying touchdown. Delaney misses the field goal, but then the defense responds with a 3-and-out. How monumental was that, and what does that say about your team overall to be able to respond that way on this stage?
Our team was given the task. They had to play harder, longer than this particular team. And our culture is built for that, and our players are built to do that. And to see them actually accomplish exactly that is really gratifying for not only them, watching each other, the coaches, but hopefully anyone that watched them. They tried their hearts out tonight.
Jerry didn't take.
Bronco, Brice was red hot in the second half, I think 17 of 19 with a drop and a throwaway. Besides that, he had the incredible 4th and 2 run and then the scramble on the 2-point conversion. Is this what you dreamed of about him when he got here?
Yeah, how do you stop him? I mean, we're not growing the program at the rate we're growing it without Brice Perkins. And he plays within the system really well, and he plays outside the system really well. And we need both. And he's exemplary. I mean, I'm so lucky he's here. And we're so lucky he's here, not only by how he plays, but who he is. And he was, without him, we don't win.
Dave and Hank.
Bronco, in your time here, have you ever seen a replay of the Warwick Dunn play in 1995 here?
I haven't.
Okay. You need to, because
Okay.
it was eerily similar to tonight.
Awesome. I'll see if I can jam that in my schedule.
Hank and Brad.
Bronco, this team, Florida State, was probably the most dominant team during the formative years of your teams growing up. Does the fact that they trailed almost all night and still found a way to come back and win this say more than it would if it was just some old schlep team and instead of,
Yeah, when you put it that way, yeah.
How do you spell schlep?
I don't know.
Brad.
Coach, there's been so much focus on Brice Hall at that cornerback spot. Nick Grant was a guy you said refused to get off the spot, refused to get off that spot. Granted that we can discuss that PI, but he seemed to have an incredible night. He really raised the bar. It seemed like, what did you think of his night and how integral he was in this?
He made an amazing play to help us win the game. He played well all night, and he was targeted all night, and he withstood it like a champion.
Too much feel-good stuff, so let me ask you about Perkins' interception in the first half. You said during the week that you weren't worried about the decision-making. What did you see there, and how do you think he shook it off?
Oh, I think it's just the same kind of scenario that he threw some interceptions in the week before, just out of the pocket and just trying to do a little too much. And it's a fine line. And if I have to, I would much rather rein him in. And so I want an aggressive quarterback. I want him to try to make plays, and I want him to think he can make every play. And yeah, on occasion, he might not. And so we just looked at each other and, okay, onward.
sorry if I missed this, but Armstrong was not available. What is his situation, and how big a concern is that you don't have your number 2?
Yeah, our number 2 will be out. I don't have a time frame in regards to that. That injury happened in the William and Mary game.
We'll wrap up with Jeff.
You started 4 sophomores and a junior on the offensive line, though Dylan worked in some. Overall, it's a very young group. It had some problems early, but did you feel like they got better as the game went on, particularly late?
Second half and fourth quarter, I saw progress. And to see that execution at that time of the game against that opponent in that context, that's priceless in terms of the growth that happened. And so everything that happened up to that contributed to their performance in the fourth quarter. So that's still a group that's growing and developing. But what a time to grow and develop and then perform well.